All right, folks, welcome back to episode 2 of Unscalable. I think we've made it past 90% of podcasts. So, like little producer insert claps for us. I'm Raba, joined by my co host, Mike N, who is just out in the. I'm actually a San Francisco hater, low key. Beautiful city, wonderful food. I will say the city is gorgeous. The cuisine is fantastic. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's not my city. My old company, Fairmont, was headquartered there, and we did a
Yeah,
lot there. But yeah, you had your board meeting and went well. You said
I
life is good.
I love San Francisco. We met with our Bay Area, Postscript team while we were there, went to a Giants game. We were up in the
Great
nosebleeds
stadium.
looking
Great.
over the bay. We had, tall cans in hand and some hot dogs. It was a vibe, 100%.
I agree. There's probably some moral gray area, but I wasn't a really big baseball guy. But
Huh?
when the juicing era, that was the most fun era. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds just hit because the SF Stadium. Barry Bonds just hit him into the bay.
Yeah,
He used
totally.
to. I mean, people were on the kayaks getting. I mean, that was just a
Uh-huh.
really fun era in baseball. I see the sides on both. I see the arguments on both sides, but I really, really enjoyed that era of baseball.
Yeah.
That's
It was
fantastic.
with the clock now and everything, and then the
Mhm.
ABS challenges, it's kinda nice. The one thing, baseball could use more fights, I think. I want more bench clearing. Yeah,
I
that would be
remember
good.
the I'm in Texas, dude. The Express. People would charge the amount on Nolan Ryan, and he'd give him the business. It was you didn't want to do. Don't drop the bat if you're charging Nolan Ryan. Okay, let's get into it. You want to do wins losses first? You want me to go?
Yeah, I can jump in. I actually have a win and a loss, tied up into one thing,
Ooh,
and, it's a good
say more.
lesson in transparency. For those who don't know, in the messaging world, there's a lot of regulation. So compliance is a really, really big deal. It's really important to us, and it's something that we focus on all the time. And but that means that there's all sorts of audit trails and verification processes, and frankly things that are eating. Its customers have to eat their vegetables in partnership with us.
Exactly.
So it's a good thing for them, but it takes time and there's opportunity for mistakes. There was a mistake that happened in a process with the customer, a top customer. We discovered it. And I was kind of nervous about going to the customer with my tail between my legs, telling what happened or whatever. But the truth shall set you free. And I find that if you are incredibly transparent with customers, just straight up, like you're a person like, hey, like, here's what happened. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. Here's a full accounting of what the deal is and what's going to happen go forward. Most people are reasonable people and they understand that things are complicated and there's lots of opportunity to mess up, and messing up is just part of the way things are. And I think even though we made a mistake, I think we gained a lot of points for transparency in the partnership. And we ended up, I think, having a stronger relationship with this customer at the end of it. And so turned kind of a negative into a positive. And it just always reminds me, like, there is no reason to not be extremely transparent with your team and with your customers. Ownership is the most important thing, and accountability is the most important thing. And if you're dealing with at least semi-reasonable people, they'll pick up on that. And the consequences are never as dire as they seem if you're willing to show up and explain exactly what happened and take accountability for it. It's a part of life. It's about being human, and transparency is always the best policy.
Ooh, I love that. Look at that. Starting the show off with just a nice little win loss tied together. I love that. I think ultimately it comes down to just the OG crisis playbook, man. Say what went wrong, take accountability for it, say how you'll make sure that this will never happen in the future. And the other thing that I will say is when I was agency side, one of the biggest things that you can actually do is, especially I don't know when you found the problem, but if you can surface the problem before they see it, that is a huge win where it's like, hey, this thing is not good. We found it, we stopped it, we're working forward, and here's what we're doing to make sure this doesn't happen again. Because I mean, you can't have a bunch of those, but to your point, like you're watching their back. You're like, hey, sorry, we fixed it, blah, blah, blah. I had a kind of side note, but when I was at the agency, we were scaling. And so we hired this kid. He was okay. He wasn't great, wasn't bad, but we were running at the time a huge gambling apps ads. And then we were also running the biggest Christian app in the world. He ends up just going crazy. It's all in the same business manager, obviously, and he's launching all these ads. We need to get these out. And he was running the gambling ads on the Christians page.
Oh
So
my
not great.
god.
Not great. He wasn't there for a while. So Transparency can only fix so much, but yeah, be transparent. And I think too, to your point, it's just a psychologically better way to move through the world. You can you know, you said it's life. You learn, take your licks.
I also find, yeah, it's also like the team needs to be set free too. Like when this happened and we discovered it, they're all ruminating. What's going to happen? How do you think they're going to react? Well, and it's like, actually, let's just go tell them and we'll find
Dude,
out. We're going to talk to them about it. We just need to make sure we understand what's going on and then we'll see. It's no, there's no use in trying to predict the way other people are going to react to things. You just kind of have to like lean into it and control your side of the equation. And then, then the answer then is speed. You find out about it, tell them as quickly as you can, understand what the impact is, and then go from there. But it's like when you're ruminating on it, when everyone's giving their opinion about what they think is going to happen, it feels good, I think, because you're like discussing it, but like that's like work's not happening.
dude.
That's just us all talking about how bad could it be. It's like we're discussing all the scenarios, but ultimately you want to get to the scenario as quickly as you can and find out what are you really dealing with here. And that just means understanding what's going on and being transparent as fast as possible.
Yeah, I love that. Ruminating is awful, and that's a bar coming out with the heat. Control your side of the equation. I love that. What I got on my side? On my side, kind of like some little off the cuff stuff, but my win was I am not. I'm a huge Claude Maxi, but I am not beholden to anybody. And I was over at a buddy's house, and he was doing some work for his new product launch, and I saw him in the old Chat GPTs, and I was like, "Dude, what are you doing? Claude's the path." The 5.5 is very good. So I've been blown away by the new ChatGPT 5.5 model. The copywriting is exquisite. It is very good. The ideating is very good. So I'm now splitting time because the software I'm developing is all in the Claude code. But I'm actually spending a lot more time in. I have like some ghostwriter stuff for socials, which we'll get to later in the show because you have some cool stuff there. But I've actually been blown away by the 5.5 upgrade. So that's my win. If you haven't used it, go try it out. It's very, very good. Especially, I've been everything I do right now is like 90% Claude, and I'm actually pulling away. I do a little bit of Manus as well, but the Manus tokens just kill me. Like I just rip through those. So, anyways, 5.5 is my win. Go check it out. It's very good. The Codex is also update is also very good. And the loss I've had a pretty good week, so I actually had to pull a loss out. The loss is for Nike. I don't know if you've seen the new Adidas commercial. It is so good with Timmy C,
Yeah, I
Messi,
saw it. I saw
you
it. It's
mean,
great.
like, it's incredible. It's 5 minutes and you don't even know it. Like, it's like a mini movie, and I think that that would have been so cool to there was, like, 10 A-listers in it? I mean, it was like and it like, I got my World Cup jersey on for my dad's home country. Perfect timing for that
Yeah.
scale up, the seasonality. I mean, I would love to hear I hope they do some, like, BTS around the creative group that put that together because they just absolutely nailed it, and then I'll also say another loss or more of a win, but our boy Ari, they are cooking at Air. They dropped the Maury Povich skit, which was incredible. So for y'all don't know, Air is kind of this incredible like Dropbox meets AI. It's amazing. And they just do some really wacky, weird marketing that we love. And they just got Maury Povich out of retirement. The kids probably don't even know who Maury Povich is, but we do. And had him do the famous baby drama, but the actual girl was an AI. It's fantastic. You should go check it out. So those are my two wins, and then the one loss is Nike. I think they're especially after the marathoning, where they did so much for Kipchoge to set the marathon record, and it was a little sus because he was like being paced. The car was cutting the wind, and then these two dudes go under two in the Adidas sneaker, which brings us to today's subject of sneakers and merch. So
Merch.
we're gonna go into weaponizing merch. I love merch. I think it's fantastic. I think it is one of the best ways. And it's one of the things that you and I can probably definitely agree on. For B2B SaaS, it's amazing. Like when you see all these people making money by sending the most incredible SMS, it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. But man, there is something about the D2C world of like, seeing somebody wear your product, seeing somebody represent your brand
Oh, yeah.
that's really hard to bridge. So that was something I always wanted to be a part of. And so I did it. And I think that one of the biggest things with merch is there's a bifurcation between swag and merch. Swag is what you get at a conference and you throw in a trash because you just don't want to like throw it away in front of them. It's just trash. I think you want to stay away from swag, but I think merch can be really incredible. The problem with merch is you have guardians at the gate like Mike, where he's
Yeah.
like, yes, we'll spend the money, but how are we going to ROI this? What are we going to do here? The way I kind of think about merch is you really want to not be a driving range, but a country club. And so what I mean by that is you want to have people feel like they're part of something, a membership per se. And when you have cheap shit, it just doesn't land. But when you have really well thought out merch, especially when it can kind of be punny or awesome or just unique, people feel that, okay, this merch, if they're putting this much thought and detail into this, they must be doing the same or more for the actual B2B SaaS product. So that's where I landed. What's been some of your favorite merch? What do you think, who does merch well? Who's your
Mm,
merch kings? What do you like over there?
yeah, that's a really good question. I would say that well, I totally agree with merch being with the country club versus the driving range thing. Like I think the bar for good merch, if you're especially if you're B2B SaaS, is you have to like let go of that part of it first. You start from like, would someone, if they saw this on a rack competing with a bunch of other stuff, whether it's a hat or a shirt or a hoodie or whatever, would they choose it? And then if they would, then I would say back into the through line to the SaaS play. Like if you start from there and you have something that's really high quality and cool and is something that would resonate with your target audience, outside of the fact that it's branded in some way, shape, or form, I think you're much more likely to land on something that ends up being like coveted by folks as opposed to just being like a, kind of a throwaway. Like I think always been very inspired by what the folks at TBPN did with the jackets and the hats. Like they
I
really
mean, the rugby shirt was great too.
yeah, they've done so much at a very high level. The exclusivity's there, right? People are on Twitter being like, "How do I get one of these hats?" And there's like a resale market for the hats. Like it's that's a really inspiring. Again, like you said about the gatekeepers, right? Like I may have made a few calls to see like what does something like that cost. It's expensive. It's a big cost. When you're talking low quantity and at that level, you're probably in like the hundreds of dollars for some of those things.
Not
At
nothing.
minimum, you're in the you know above 50, above 75 per unit, so that's way different than when you're shooting t-shirts with your logo out of a t-shirt cannon somewhere and you're doing it for $4 printed, so
100%.
it's a hard thing to green light. But I think if you're gonna do it, and I totally believe in that strategy, like you really have to start with the item itself. It has to stand up to everything else. Because I mean, you're talking about someone leaving we all get dressed, right? So they're getting dressed. They have a closet of items that they specifically chose. Your expectation is that they're going to take your branded merch and put it on their head or on their back or on their feet over something else that they like used their hard-earned money to go buy on their own. Like that's a really high bar, but that's what it is. And so I think that's how you have to approach it if you really want to make it successful.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I think the other thing to kind of put some people on some free game, there's a few things here. One, I think there is some baseline merch that you just can kind of have, like the hats, the t-shirts, make them nice, make them cool, make them awesome. That's kind of, hey, these are nice, this is great. Then there is the kind of one-off merch, whether it's like you guys done some really cool stuff where it's like a seasonal thing or around a launch or something like that. I think that's super awesome, really great. And then there's that third tier that the first two can kind of get, the line items can be a lot easier. They're going to be a lot smaller. And then the third tier is something that we did at Fermont that was probably our most successful marketing campaign. So, one of the things as a marketer and running a marketing org, you need to understand, is your product a tell me product? Can I explain this to you? I would say Postscript is a hybrid, but mostly a tell me product. You can explain the value props of Postscript pretty easily. When you show it, it's great. Fermont was not. Fermont was such a show me product. Like I could get 5 minutes with somebody and have the most incredible pitch, and they'd be like, okay, cool, but I don't get it. And then if I showed them an actual Fermont experience, they're like, oh, that's what you guys do. This is incredible. So with that in mind, we also had a lot of big brands that wouldn't let us tell about them that they're working with us, blah, blah, blah. So we got into this kind of chicken and egg problem. So the way I solved that was, you know what? Why don't we actually just start our own brand? And then that went into Fairmont was French. French, Italians, probably the best designers out there. So let's do something super elevated. So there's a few through lines here, but one is if you're going to shoot, the worst thing you can do is go midway. Like either don't go or like send it. Because if you do midway, it's the worst of both worlds where you're going to spend a decent amount of money and you're going to have no chance for this dog to hunt. Like you're going to get into this really rock and hard place. Okay, then now what's the story you're going to tell finance? So this is the hard one. How am I going to sell this to Mike? And so basically the story was, hey, we have an incredible amount. We have a meaty budget. Paid ads aren't really super successful for us because B2B SaaS is really not bought through paid ads. It's bought through group chats, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't we just do this whole line? So then we ended up doing a whole FMRT line and we produced a bag. We did a whole press release. We did everything. But to your point, what we also did is we had scarcity. And not only do we have scarcity, we had the ability to seed it with the right people. This is the other thing. Scarcity usually comes from exposure and then small inventory. So we seeded it to the right people. And then we got kind of what you were talking about. And then the next thing you want to do is how can you plan a drop? And then you have the drop around that. It was the most successful campaign we ever did. It was incredible. And it was really cool to see how, when you do something like that, the second order tertiary effects, investors were actually really happy because they're seeing everything. Investors also, like our top investors, got some of it. Our top clients got it. People were kind of asking for it. Demos go up. So there has to be a through line to business impact. But that's kind of where I land in terms of when you're doing crazy merch, there's the marketing story and the Mike CFO, am I going to hit this line item story? That has to be tidied up. You just can't do crazy shit. What's your thoughts there? What have you,
First
yeah,
off, if my CFO knew that you were referring to me as the CFO, they would laugh their ass off
that's how
because
far I am from reality.
that's crazy. So actually, I had an experience with the Vermont package, and I think that it proves your point perfectly. I get sent tons of shit, all sorts of stupid things. I'm like, I got like the branded tumblers up in the cabinet, and whatever. I take them out when I need a tumbler or whatever. But it's just like it's a thing. You sent me a Vermont care package with all the cool shit in there. I open it. Cool experience, obviously very premium shit. And what it got me to do was I was like, created the reciprocity, right? It was at a level that I was like, okay, I can't just like ditch this, right? Like I owe Raba and the Vermont team like a curated picture of it and like I'll post it on LinkedIn and be like, this is sick. Like the quality level of the stuff drives the reciprocal action that you want at a higher rate
I love that.
because it's harder to ignore. Like when you open the Vermont thing, you're like, okay, I know this costs hundreds of dollars.
That's good.
Whereas if I open something and I'm like, oh, this was like, someone in the storage closet at corporate HQ, like threw a couple of things and threw some branded popcorns in the box and sent it to me. I'm like, whatever, no one cares about this. So I think shooting in the middle sucks. You want to
Yes.
go to the very, very highest level, not only because it'll be memorable to people, but also because it'll drive the next action that you want at a much higher rate
So
because
well
the
said.
person is like, oh, I owe them something because this wasn't just like a little throwaway merch item. This was an expense. Like I'm one of 100 or 200 people who actually got this thing. And now I need to demonstrate my gratitude in a way that'll help you. I think I've probably made a post about this on LinkedIn, and I maybe have done that like 5 times in my life for people who are not the company I was working for. And it was because when you open the box, I knew there's an expectation to be engaging with this thing just based on what I knew the price tag was going to be. So it is much more effective that way. I'll also say on the Show Me products, I think that's genius. We're doing we've done that before. One time we had a checkout through text product where we dropped merch where people had to use the product to buy it. And like, that was a great demo experience. We're actually doing a thing right now with our friends at Portland Leather Goods.
Ah, I love Curtis and everybody.
Yeah. So everyone's, if you're a pipeline marketer, you're listening to this, you're like sending, gift cards or AirPods or whatever. So yeah, we're sending people a gift card to Portland Leather Goods to try to get a meeting. But what they're doing is to redeem it, they have to talk to our conversational AI to shop the Portland Leather catalog. And so they're getting a demo of our shopper AI, but they're also getting this free thing. And like, that's not, launching a full streetwear brand or doing like an integrated Shopify site, but like even on the little things, finding ways to integrate a little bit of the product, the show me demo with the cool stuff, like everything that you're doing, if you're a marketer listening to this, like could be more integrated, could be a little more premium, could be a little bit better if you just like probably thought a little bit harder and like push the creative envelope just slightly. Even if it's a, I'll give you a gift card for a demo campaign. All of us have done that. All of us probably wish we didn't have to do that. But do I feel great about this Portland leather one that we're doing because it demos the product and it's featuring a customer and it's a cool. Of course, now I'm like, I'll do those all day long and not feel bad about it at all. And so I just think there's always like a little angle here that if you just push it a little bit, you end up going from like cringe marketing land to like, oh, this feels really good and on brand and accretive to everyone.
Oh man, that's so well said. And I actually buried the lead. I totally forgot about this. We had a launch page and then we actually used Postscript to sign
Yeah.
up and then we sent them to a Fermat experience and
Yep.
that's how they checked out. So going back to making sure the product was integrated into it. And so it was really awesome for us and we did actually so the other thing there is when you send it out cuz we only did 100 of everything and we only did 50 of the bags. The bags are insane. The bags are nuts. But the other thing there is you want a nice kind of going back to your influencer thing. We had a set people of influencers that we'd send to, and then pro tip: try and make sure that you can have the packages land within a day or two of each other, so you get a big burst and not these little trickles that are across a week or so. And then the second thing we did was we took our top prospects and we actually closed a couple because of it, or not because of it, but they turned the meeting on, or we pushed some people that were really deep funnel that were huge deals. It ended up going through that reciprocity. But that's a really good through line in terms of making sure how can you weave in the product and it
Yeah.
feels genuine where you're like, hey, it becomes a product demo.
I
And
even
that's
I
you
even
nailed
think
it.
like there's so much like we do this with even people who sign with us when they get through onboarding or it's like a congratulations thing. Even experiences that we think are cool that aren't really even our experiences. Like I'll give you an example. When someone signs on with Postscript and they're in their onboarding cycle and they graduate from onboarding, successful onboarding, like send their team like last crumb to the office. Premium experience, a great product, really cool customer. And most people haven't had that experience before and they're like blown away by it. I didn't have to do anything except pay $200 to send it to the
Best
place.
marketing, the best marketing
Yeah,
dollar.
and it's like and it rocks and it's starting their first experience off on the right foot and like so even if you're like, "Oh my god, how am I can't get merch approved," like, and I don't have the team to be able to do it, and it just seems like a whole like, just think of a really awesome merch experience that you have as a consumer, and think about how you can, like, up level certain wow moments by just getting other people to experience these really cool things. I think, like, a lot of times I talk to marketing teams about stuff like this, and they always get, like, caught up in all the logistics and how
Yes.
hard it's gonna be, and it's like, just start with something you can do to demonstrate the value to the people who are blocking you in the org from being able to do a $100 item. Because when a CEO of a, 9-figure brand is like, takes a picture of the last crumb, they're like, thank you guys so much. These cookies are the best. The CFO sees that in the Slack channels. They're like,
Yes,
oh,
they do.
that's sick. Let's do more stuff like this. And so you just got to think about trying to like grease the wheels a little bit and start to dip your toe in because as marketers we know when people get these premium experiences they like us more, they like the brand more, they think we go from vendors to partners and like when you can get those vibes going and everyone can see that, that's when I think your CFO at least a little bit with the pen will be a little more free to sign off on stuff that's really about lubricating the ecosystem, which like, all these brand plays fundamentally are that's what they do. It's just like, you got to get them to feel it a little bit. And when they feel it, then they're like, oh, more of that.
Yeah.
And then that'll open it up. And eventually you can do premium $175 hoodie with the embossed
You
everything,
nailed it.
but like, if you just go from zero to embossed hoodie, yeah, your CFO is going to be like, well, what are we
Tough
doing
gig.
here?
Tough gig.
What are we doing?
You said something really important there, and this is might not be for everybody, but if you have an embarrassment of riches of incredible logos. So at Triple Whale, we had incredible clients. And for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, again, this goes back to not even really trying to do a sales thing. We just wanted to like make people feel loved. And we put basically Black Friday, Cyber Monday for anybody in the space and D2C is just it's war season. So we put in together a care package for all the media buyers and agencies, and it was all of our clients' products. So two things happened there. One, these people feel loved because they're like, "Hey, you're awesome." Blah blah blah. There was like soaking salts, all this stuff, just like self care stuff. And then two, the clients love you because you get to message the client like, "Hey, Mike, can I buy some wholesale for X, Y, and Z?" So it's a really symbiotic. So I think that's brilliant with like the last crumb thing is taken to another level because they're a logo. I think that the last scrum thing is a great starting point. Like you said, you can do really meaningful things, but even better. And the CFO also likes that a lot better because you're almost like in a weird way keeping money in the family where you're like buying products from clients. And then the second thing I would say about that as well is if you are at a loss for creative stuff for merch and you do have incredible logos, one of the things that we did really well back at T Dub also was brand collabs. So we had like Baboon to the Moon, Jambies, what have you, and we would just talk to them and they would do custom work for us. And then we would buy that gear and then we don't have to think about supplying anything like that. We just buy it, we pay for the custom logo to get slapped on it. And then the other thing is if it's a really cool brand, kind of like not in like a negative way, but you get to siphon off some coolness from that brand onto your brand. So I think that's something that is that's a really good call out. That'll juice the wheels for the CFO if you kind of get it keeping to the family. I got one more for you as well. I think we can really get caught up in thinking inside the box, but I think something you can also do as well, and it's not necessarily like quote unquote merch, but is there something you can build that is really awesome that you're going to have brand recall with, where it's like some cool desktop item or something that's going to be used or something like that, because you just build this kind of like really cool connection. You're seeing it like it's the equivalent of like a very fancy kitchen magnet or something where you get that brand recall. So I think that's the for anybody watching behind me, I still have this. There was a crazy B2B SaaS company called Runway, and they sold these. It's called Burn Rate, and did a custom collab with a hot sauce company. And you can't see it in the video, but that hot sauce is actually wrapped with $100 bill. And so why it was so effective, one, it was top notch, the box, everything was an exquisite experience. But it was also this kale and cigarettes kind of marketing. Like the whole point of using Runway is to be fiscally responsible and conscious. And they're literally selling a $50 bottle of Tabasco sauce wrapped in $100 bill. So I think things like that can also land really well. That's again, to Mike's point, probably a little harder. That might be like a level two, level three kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the last crumb is such a good on ramp. That's such a beautiful, and I think the through line to all this, you make people feel cared for. Like
Yeah.
they're not just a number, they're a person. They're not just a customer. There's actually a membership into that country club that we talked about versus they're just hitting balls at the driving range.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I have a level 3 advanced PhD idea that I've been sitting on for like 5 years
Breaking news,
for
come on.
Postscript. No, I should just put it out into the world, so if my
Come on.
CFO or my team hears it. So, Postscript's a messaging platform, right? Like, emojis are native to the language of Postscript, because it's texting. And, control command space is the keyboard
Yep.
shortcut to pull up the emoji. And so I was like, we need to build a keyboard accessory that is just a one button keyboard shortcut that's like branded like an emoji that sits next to your keyboard. You just smash that thing,
Oh my
it
God, I
pulls
love it.
up the emoji shortcut instantly, and you can just scroll through it. Because like my keyboard looks burnt out on that shortcut. Like
Oh my
I
God,
have these,
that's brilliant.
and I'm like, any SMS marketer also has a burnt out control command shift, like where their fingers are hitting all the time.
Okay, you gotta do it now.
And
That's
I'm like,
brilliant.
that would be a good thing. We never it's just always fallen off the list, but this conversation's inspiring me to bring it back, and see if we have a good use
That's
case for it.
hilarious. It reminds me of somebody did like, something similar for Claude of like the always allow, and they can just hit the
Yeah,
button exactly do
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
I love that. And I think the last thing, and then we'll move into your, tool up is real bonus points if there's an inside joke or nod, because then it's even more meaningful. Like, it can still stand on its own, like, people are like, "Yeah, we use emojis, this is incredible," but your actual real power users like, "This guy gets me. This company gets me." Like,
yeah,
and I think that again ties back to feeling like a human, feeling seen, feeling known, and like, man, emotions, especially positive ones, are a hell of a drug, and it can build a lot of actual financial stability, expansion, revenue, retention, things like that. Like I said, all this stuff is definitely done out of a positive mind frame, but at the same time, there has to be some throughput to business impact because if not, then you're just sending out cool shit to people you like. So there has to be that. But speaking of Claude, we're going to move in. That was the art and science section, but the tool up is you this week. What do you got for us? You have something kind of cool that you've been cooking up over in the
Yeah,
factory.
yeah, I was a little inspired, up Moda. If you haven't used Moda, it's basically a tool that'll allow you to create visual assets and edit them. So it's kind of Figma-esque, but it's all generative. And I played around with it when they did their launch, and I took like a screenshot of a chart demonstrating like the effectiveness of one of our new tools, and I just dropped it in there, and I was pretty surprised. I said like optimize a LinkedIn creative to go along with my post. And I didn't tell it anything. It was just a screenshot. And it like got pretty close. It pulled out its own hooks. Like it was like this chart is like growing ever since. So it started talking about what the product did without me prompting. It was actually really impressive. And it took me like 8 seconds to try to do it. And it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And so I sent it to my content and design team and I was like, hey, this is cool. And I'm kind of inspired by it. We want people to be posting more. And so they kind of like took that nugget. So hat tip to them. And they built a content pipeline that basically takes the product release channel at Postscript, pumps that into Claude Cowork. First, it writes a whole series of posts in a bunch of different like styles and voices. And then it goes into our design system and takes the branded assets and creates like LinkedIn and X like approved and sized assets to go along with those. And the whole point of this is we're trying to reduce the speed bumps in front of employees posting on social, because ultimately, we all know that, your branded pages are throttled in every possible way. The algos are rewarding people posting to their little audiences. And so if, we got at Postscript, we got, 200 people who have their own LinkedIn profiles and X accounts. Like if we could get them posting on our behalf, that'd be amazing. Well, there's a bunch of things in the way. Do they have an approved creative? Do they know what to say? Are they on brand positioning? And like, we wanted to remove all of those possible barriers. And so this content pipeline that we call them the studios team. It's our brand and content team inside of Postscript that they built leveraging these tools made it significantly easier for your average person at Postscript who's not even in a marketing team to be able to like pick something up and post about it in a way that will, help promote the product and also make them feel comfortable that they're not doing something wrong or doing something totally out of left field. And so we're excited about it. We're going to keep on building these pipelines like this because, it's about, making it easy for everyone to participate in the success of Postscript. We want to, we win together. So the more we can get people to amplify this stuff, the better. So check out Moda if you haven't checked it out. And I highly recommend, partnering with some of the folks in your company to build some of these end-to-end pipelines, because once they're going, then you start realizing that, there's plenty of stuff to talk about and there's no reason not to post. And so I'm excited to see, hopefully, if you're listening and you work at Postscript, I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to see you
Post
posting on
more.
LinkedIn and X and driving the virality of our product launches sometime soon.
Dude, I love that. I think it's such a macro knowledge in terms of seeing a thing, connecting the things, and then letting the people become a tastemaker and letting them put their own stylistic stamp on it while removing the toil. You're just giving them the fun part. I think that 0 to 1 is really hard, but I think people are a lot of times better editors than they are creators. And so being able to give them the things to look at and, selfishly, as you run the marketing org, like it's on brand, it's coming from like a
Hmm.
place that has this, I don't want to say sanitized, but has the messaging has enough guardrails on it that it's going to be in the realm of on brand, on message, and then they get to put their personal stamp. I love that. I'm actually going to play with that. That's a really slick workflow. So go check out the app. What is it called? Moda?
Yeah, it's called Moda. I saw they had like they had like a super viral launch video on X like a couple weeks ago. So I just like clicked through it or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is actually really cool.
I love it. We have to. Well, I'm going to put an episode in for launches because I think I have some hot takes that I'd love to get the mic brain on. Okay, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Quick story for the off the record, going back to drops, merch, everything. So anybody watching that can see, for the people that know me, I'm a bit of a sneakerhead. One of the most iconic, sought after sneakers is the Freddy Krueger. Do you know the Krueger story?
I do not. I do not. I am not a sneakerhead myself.
So Nike did a sneaker, Freddy Krueger inspired sneaker, the OG red green sweater pattern, like Freddy Krueger, and there was some blood splatter, silver. It was dope. It was sick. The swooshes were like little glove blades. It was dope. New Line, the people that owned the Freddy Krueger trademarks, sent a cease and desist. So they never got released. Nike had to destroy all of them, etc. Somehow, a batch of them got released, like smuggled out of a shop in Mexico, and were never released. And now, if in most sneakerheads, they are probably in the top three of the most sought after thing. And so, the whole point of this is going back to the merch. Scarcity without story is just impotent. But scarcity with story around it, that was one of the things with the FMRT. Like we had people just coming back and back because there was this B2B did a Sass Couture line. What are you talking about? They dropped the bag came off the same line that Gucci uses. Like this is crazy. So at the end of the day, people experience the world in stories. And if you can match scarcity with story, and then the third kind of holy trinity is timing, you can get a really big marketing bomb that the CFO say, hey, this is great. Like Mike said, let's do some more of these. So, but also go check out the Freddy Krueger. There's more to the story, but it's one of my favorite sneakers that is a little bit out of my price range. They go, dude, you're talking 65, 70 for a pair? No,
Wow.
no,
Yeah.
zero. It's real money. All right. That's the show, folks. What else you got for us, Mike? What are you looking forward to? Let's
Well,
land this plane.
I think I'm gonna start thinking about my version of the Freddie dunk.
Yes. Yes. Dude, you gotta do the emoji button. You gotta
Yeah,
do the
maybe we'll
emoji
do
button.
that. Yeah, it's we'll come up with something good. We have some launches coming up this year that we're really excited about that are going to be big deals. So we'll do something for those. That'll
I
be
love that one so
exciting.
much. I love that one so much.
Yeah, yeah. So that I agree with you though. Like the story makes it. You gotta have the through line to the customers, the backstory. I mean, that's why even sometimes in tech, like some of the really old stuff is the most sought after merch, like the like original T-shirts from the original Twitter days, or like the original
OG
Reddit days.
Apple.
I even like our co-founders went through YC, so they have like the YC branded thing,
Yes.
and I'm always like, dude, I want one of those so bad. They're like, oh,
So bad.
whatever, it's not a big deal or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, you act that way because you have it, but like the YC embroidered
Yes.
long sleeve, it's like it's sick, like people want to, indicate that they're a part of something. So we'll be thinking about what we're gonna bring to the table merch wise this year.
I love it.
We'll do
That
something
makes
good.
my soul sing.
Yeah.
And that's for you guys listening. Go think of some cool merch ideas. Figure out, can you do some scarcity stuff? Can you make the customers feel valued? Is this an exclusive thing you can do? Can you integrate the product into it? And then even better, can you include some of your current customers into that? So, all right, folks, that's all we got. We'll see you next week. Mike, as always, thanks for your time.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.